Hello everyone, my name is Craig and welcome back to the channel, and this is a video review of the Zuru X-Shot Mark III. A pretty small X-Shot blaster that's actually been out for a while, but I do have the X-Shot 3/4 length darts now, so I can shut up about those now. So let's get into the review. Starting out with the brief overview, starting up front, there's obviously no end strike barrel lug. This is an X-Shot blaster. They don't really have much of that. Getting up to the top, there's literally no rails, nothing to manipulate. Serious lack of tactics, but whatevs. Getting to the back is the priming handle. To prime, you do that, and you're ready to shoot once. Yeah, a lot of these blasters nowadays are not meant for dry firing, are they? That was a horrible sound. Draw weight is pretty standard, and I would say in line with other elite blasters, if not slightly lighter than most of those primes. Getting down to the grip is absolutely horrible. This is a very, very small, pathetic grip. This reminds me of the X-Shot Menace grip, not the Flux, the Menace, the other tiny one. Basically that bad of proportions. I have small hands, and my hands fail to grip this properly, right? Yeah, my pinky is just sitting here like, chill out, bro. Find somewhere to go on. I don't have enough plastic to grip onto. Yeah. Whoops. So this grip is, it's okay in comfortability, in comfortableness, whatever is the suffix for the act of being comfortable, right? It's okay in that, but because of the proportions, it's not that comfortable. This is a horrible grip. X-Shot, what are you doing? Sorry, Zuru, what are you doing? Getting down to the trigger pull is pretty standard, I would say, for X-Shot blasters and for in the Nerf Elite line. Although it's in a weird position, my finger is jutting up against some plastic here, which I don't really like. But yeah. Underneath, there's nothing to manipulate, just a fake rail. Getting to the barrel, this is a single shot front loading barrel. To load, you simply do that and you fire. It is based off of a rotating barrel, and I absolutely hate these type of barrels. Yes, just rotate the barrel. What the F are you doing? Right? The capacity of this blaster is 3 shots. Hex Mark III, right? It shoots 3 darts at a time. So after you fire one, you must manually set the next one, and it does not rotate, so you have to be precise on that rotate. If you do it halfway, it's not going to fire, right? See? You do it anywhere. Well, okay, that one was not all the way there, but if you do it like in between 2 barrels, it's not going to fire. You have to be precise with your changing. I hate barrel changes like that because I'm so used to going like that. Now I have to go like that, twist, bam. It slows your rate of fire. It's extremely slow. And I have a couple blasters that are like that, and I absolutely hate that mechanic. So I'm dissing on this one a little bit. Capacity is 3 rounds, so take it or leave it. So I don't really know what to think about this right now. So that's pretty much all to go over of this blaster. Not really that great so far. Let's get into a firing demo.
Yes, we're back in this room to do a firing demo today. First, starting out with the included Zuru X-Shot 3/4 length darts. Oh, I forgot that I have to rotate the barrel. Freaking hate this. Some more X-Shot 3/4 length darts. Ew. Now, for comparison's sake, to really see where Zuru's at, gray Zuru X-Shot full-length darts. I got this with the Flux and the Menace. These seem to be the stars of every single blaster when I do the firing demo, so we're going to see if they match up well with the 3/4 length darts. Pretty good. Moving on to some standard blue Nerf Elite 2.0 darts. Now some Adventure Force Nipplehead style darts. Ooh. I don't have a chronograph right now, but I can tell these are not shooting as hard as the other projectiles, except for maybe that shot. Next up, you guessed it, white Amosting darts. Maybe you didn't guess it, but white Amosting darts. Pretty good. Now for some screamer darts, or whistler darts, whatever you want to call them. Somebody tried correcting me, they're whistler darts. Screamer, whistler, whatever. Now some Dodus or Dudos, however the F you pronounce that, darts, basically half-length darts. The first one that will be shot is the normal style, almost a Mosting style darts, and then the suction cup dart. I don't know where my other dart of these kinds went, so I'm only firing 2. Damn. Okay. And lastly, hang on. For comparison's sake, well, not that one. I'm going to be firing some old orange end strike darts. Okay. Let's fire that one again, but not do all the hardcore parkour associated with it. That might have messed up my shot there. There we go. Pretty cool firing demo, actually.
Firing analysis and conclusion of the X-Shot Mark III or MK3. From the firing demo, it actually shot pretty well. I actually thought compared to something like a Fluxor Menace, this was going to shoot horribly. I thought this was going to be a terrible blaster, and it actually shot with decent velocity. All of the projectiles, every single projectile that I put through it, it fired, which is amazing. Even those old orange end strike darts, right? So I'm going to talk about each projectile, but also I don't have a chronograph, so I have to do the eye test like I did with early reviews. If you watch my earlier reviews, when I first started this channel, I didn't have a chronograph, and I honestly didn't do my research on this one. Again, big surprise. But honestly, if I will give you a general estimate based off of the eye test and compared to other blasters, what a velocity might be. But don't take this time, don't take it as solid word, as opposed to some of the other ones who probably could take it. So first starting out with Nerf Elite 2.0 darts. These actually fired very, very well. They were one of the hotter projectiles fired out of here in terms of velocity. I'm going to estimate probably in about the 60-70 range FPS, maybe as low as the 50s, but I don't have a chronograph to really tell, but it seemed like it fired these pretty fast, which is pretty good. So if you have a batch of elite darts, probably consider using these. Now, they're not going to be accurate as all get out. I don't think this blaster is accurate really at all. Actually, it wasn't at all, even with me doing hardcore parkour or even trying to take the time to aim. It wasn't that accurate, but these were actually doing pretty decently, and I think had some of the best velocity. I think probably second, maybe even third place as far as velocity goes. The Adventure Force Nibblehat style darts, actually the first dart that I fired, I could tell had not that great velocity to it. It was actually pretty soft. These tend to shoot pretty soft from that one, so I'm going to estimate maybe lower 60s, maybe into the 50s as far as velocity goes with this one. And this is, again, just with the eye test. I don't have a chronograph that works right now, so yeah, yikes. I'm probably going to do a re-review of this blaster because I really want to do a chronograph test on this, especially with all these new projectiles and stuff. But a decent-ish option, but I probably wouldn't recommend these. I'd actually recommend elite darts over these Adventure Force darts. So shooting pretty soft. The other shots seemed like a little bit harder, but probably not enough to convince me otherwise. Right? Getting into the Mosting darts, these seem to shoot at medium velocity. Usually these actually shoot when I find out in the chronograph test. Generally, they shoot softer than it looks like that they shoot. But these seem like that they were doing both, shooting a little bit softer and a little bit harder than I thought. So I'm not sure, but I do still like the accuracy of a Mosting darts. It's a really good sample dart to really test both the accuracy and velocity of. So not really a winner, but not really a loser here with this one. Let's get into the Zuru X-Shot darts. Now this one is the 3/4 length dart, and if you don't believe me, this is literally almost 3/4, maybe like 5/6 or something length, almost the same dimension as a Nerf Elite dart, but it's 3/4 length. And unlike the Dudo's dart, actually this might be a 3/4 length dart though too. I thought this was actually, did I call this a half length dart? It looks like more like a half length dart. But no, this is a 3/4 length dart as well. 3/4 length darts, I remembered this from way back before I started this channel, that I actually really like these. They used to fly out of blasters and stuff, and that was true with this one. I'm expecting at the lowest 60 FPS feet per second out of this, if not even up into the 80s, where Zuru X-Shot, as far as I know, likes to shoot. It shot very hard out of that from what I could tell. Accuracy, I'd have to do some more testing. I was more worried about velocity than accuracy from what I could tell, but gonna be very interested to try these in other blasters and upcoming blasters. I don't want to do yet another review because of something like that, but I will chronograph test it anyway, just for other comparison's sake. But these were the projectiles that I've been looking for a while, and they're seeming to be pretty good. So if you use the included darts, there might be a couple better options like the next one I'm about to tell you, but this is certainly not a pass-up at all. Next up is the Zuru X-Shot full-length darts. Yes, and this is really a full-length dart. These, again, were stars of the show, maybe competing, if not maybe a little worse than the 3/4 length version of the dart. Still really liked how it did. It actually seemed like that it shot a little bit softer than the 3/4 length darts, but still with decent velocity, and I think it still won. I believe these were first place, and then I think the Elite Dart and the full length dart were tied for like second or third place in velocity, at least what I could tell from my eyes. But yeah, the full-length dart's still a really good option, and I would still highly recommend it. Accuracy is pretty good out of these as well. Accuracy and precision is pretty good out of these as well. So still impressed with that. Again, the Dudos, or whatever you call it, 3/4 length darts. They shot out super hard, but they were not accurate at all. But it was a little bit weird. It shot pretty hard out of this blaster, but I feel like there still could have been some more oomph to it. But yeah, I was surprised at how hard that it did hit, but it was totally inaccurate. I would recommend these as a primary ammunition source or dart choice, as I said with the Justo Fun Blaster. But if you happen to have one laying around, maybe it could provide some sort of benefit to you. The real loser of this one was actually the Screamer darts. The Screamer darts had terrible velocity, as you could see. Now, they had the range. They actually went there, but they had terrible velocity with it. So I would have really recommend it, but it still did fire, and it made the 20-foot, 20 to 30-foot range that it needed to. So, all right? But also what I was surprised, and actually another really winner of this one, are the orange end strike darts. These darts are hit or miss in most blasters. Most of the time they're missed. They shoot with very low velocity or they don't fire at all, right? This one, just like with the last two blasters that I fired, actually fired fairly decently with these. The velocity was definitely there, probably 56 and maybe into the 60s range. You're probably not going to get past like maybe 64 FPS with this projectile with really anything nowadays. The Elite Dart is just of different proportions, dimensions, and weight that it'll outdo this dart in every single way. But I was surprised that it actually fired consistently, hit the range and the target where it needed to. Yeah, actually, the orange streamlined darts, old end strike darts, actually beat out Screamer darts and stuff. It was actually not garbage, as long as you don't have crappy darts like I do. But yeah, I was quite surprised. So every single projectile that I threw at it, it fired very well. So that's the firing. Now getting into really summarizing it again. Yes, and I'm looking at the timestamp on this. I spent 9 minutes talking about all the different projectiles and stuff. Yes, I know I was not going to say, hey, I'm going to make like half an hour off of a pistol blaster, but when I have so many projectiles to go over and so much other stuff, it's really hard to do. I am trying, y'all, to really narrow it down a bit, but there's just so much information to cover. So my real complaints, let's start off with the complaints about this blaster. One, the grip reminds me of the Menace grip, and that is trash. This grip, also trash in its proportions. Yes, its proportions. Why did you have to make it so small? You could have literally made it like that much bigger and it would have been fine. It would have been completely fine. I wouldn't have minded that with a little bit of a bigger grip, but you had to make it this small, like almost like this type of blaster. If you ever see Star Trek and see it's how some of like the original series had how they hold the phasers, just be like up at like this degree, or even like those Ghostbuster guns that like are held like this. Yeah, it feels like that it's designed to be held like that, not like this, and that just makes it very uncomfortable. So bad on the grips. I know other YouTubers are better at analyzing grips and stuff. I just care if it fits my hands well. And that I don't really care too much about it. I could put some leniency on this, but this, I don't understand this grip. That is bad. Also, just the space with the trigger is a little bit of a complaint. I mean, I've gotten used to it. At least I'm not jutting up against like sharp plastic here. But whatevs on that one. Again, also lack of tactics. I mean, Zuru X-Shot isn't going to be a tactical like thing like Nerf is, like put on all these attachments, but they still could have done something with all of this space. Instead of a fake Picatinny rail, put on a real Picatinny rail. I know you sell some of those Zuru attachments on some other blasters. You could have totally done that on this. Zuru, what are you doing? Right? What in the actual heck are you doing with that? But I can kind of get that. My biggest complaint about this blaster, even more than the grip, and I complained about this grip a lot, I'm absolutely dunking on this cylinder system, I hate manually rotating cylinder blasters, right? Doing this, firing, turning, firing, that's just slow rate of fire. Yes, I may be a pistol guy, but I don't want to have to manually rotate the barrel each time. I'd rather manually like front load and do that, because that's actually, I don't know, depending on how delicate the system is, it's a tie, if not, sorry, I had something on my screen here. If not a little bit faster than turning the barrel. The turning the barrel is actually sometimes can be slower than just a front load. So I really absolutely hate doing this, because my body mechanics are just so used to the barrel turning like a Maverick. Basically, it's spinning the barrel after I fired, so I don't have to pre-do it, right? I don't have to preset it like I do with this blaster. I absolutely hate doing that. I did that with all the Avenger Force blasters. I hate doing that so much. And that's really my biggest complaint. Oh, that and the grip just really make this blaster, right? So, getting into that, the positives of this blaster is the performance is actually fairly decent. I'd still recommend, if you're going to go X-Shot, go with the Flux. Yes, maybe the Magnus, if you absolutely have to, go with the Flux. I absolutely love that blaster, and you're definitely going to get guaranteed great performance. This one, I don't know. I think this shoots a bit softer than that. I would trust the Flux better. It has better proportions, better reliability, really everything. But yeah, but the performance still is pretty decent, surprising. There's no jams or malfunctions out of this, which out of a front-loading blaster, God help us if you have a jam or malfunction. But I could understand maybe if the cylinder didn't turn or anything. But it technically does what it's supposed to do. So I have to put that as a positive, right? So that's really all the other positives. It also has 3 shots compared to like 1 shot. So I guess more ammo is a plus. But when you have something with these 2 negatives, I'd probably rather use a single shot blaster at that point. Yes, I would turn down 2 capacity for something that's more proportionally sound and reliable as opposed to a 3-shot or capacity of 3 shots, manually spinning, terrible grip blaster. I would totally change that. Yes, I'd totally sacrifice that. So you person in the comment section that said, oh, you're giving up 2 shots, I don't give a crap, right? So some other things really about this blaster that I want to get into, like I know sometimes I tell about the blaster color scheme and all of that stuff. I did buy this at Dollar General, as if I didn't say that in my intro. Yes, I actually bought this not at Walmart, Dollar General. I was going to go get my snacks for work and stuff, and I happened to pass by the toy section and I saw this. I'm like, oh, that's like maybe like $5-ish. I'm gonna go snag it and do a review on it, which it was the same place I got the Slash at on different days. But yeah, I managed to snag this, and I'm glad that it's like $5. You actually get your money's worth there for $5, in my opinion. I believe the X-Shot Flux and Menace, I believe that pack was like $12. And that's a high performing package for $12. This one is 1 blaster for $5. Fairly decent, even with the massive complaints that I have. So, wrapping all that up, my opinion on this blaster is going to be in the middle. It has a lot of negatives, but it actually, I think that its performance is so surprising that I think that positive outweighs its negatives, really. So, I could deal with it, but personally, I don't really like this at all, but there's, again, no real objective reason to avoid it. And it does really what it's supposed to do, and it's like 3 shots. And X-Shot is technically fairly reliable. There's a lot of bad picks out there, but this is still more towards the bad side. Yes, I'm somewhere in between, but I'm more towards the bad side, right? But I don't want to completely diss this blaster, right? Because if it had poor performance, yeah, I'd be like chucking this across the room, right? And I'm on the verge of doing that, but it works so well that it doesn't. It's just ergonomically terrible, right? It's just, with this and then this grip, it's just ergonomically terrible, but the performance makes up for it, unfortunately. Yeah, so I put in that much of a gripe, and then I said, yes, performance mattered over everything. In this case, yes, it does. So, would I recommend this product to anybody? I actually would not. Granted that I gave it some praise, but also a lot of dislike. I actually, because I'm in the middle of this, I wouldn't recommend this over anything, but I also wouldn't recommend not getting it. If you want to get into Zuru X-Shot, maybe this could be a good starting place for you. Just note that you're probably going to hate the grip, even if you have tinier hands than me, which good luck. And if you're probably gonna hate this manually rotating cylinder as well, but it's still a good intro. I would still recommend, now for my recommendations, I'd still recommend an X-Shot Menace or Flux. Actually, probably a Flux over a Menace, obviously. But I'd still recommend those two because you'll still get the reliability and the performance out of those blasters, like a higher performance out of those blasters than you will out of something like this, than the Mark III or MK3. I think it's supposed to be Mark III is what that stands for. But you'll get it better out of that blaster than these. So I can't really recommend this to anybody, but I can't really say avoid it completely, right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that can bypass, that can deal with doing this and this grip. Because quite honestly, now that I think about it, the Menace grip is actually worse than even this blaster, but this reminds me of the Menace grip, so it's complaining. But I could totally see how somebody could be like, oh, it's all right for me. So, I mean, as long as it's not like this on a tiny blaster, you had something like the Menace, which is a tiny blaster, and then you put an even tinier grip, which doesn't make sense. You just put a tiny grip, a proportional grip, on a giant blaster, or compared to what the grip size is, it's a giant blaster. So, I don't know. For me, it's really a pass, but yeah, I'm trying to stay neutral here. So let me know what you guys think of the Zuru X-Shot Mark III in the comments down below. This is a very interesting one. I'll probably do a re-review on this, especially when I get a new chronograph sometime soon. Yeah, let me know. My name is Craig. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I helped aid you in your purchase decision of your next foam flinging blaster. Yes, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more content like this, reviews, re-reviews, and probably some other general fun stuff that I'm trying to compile together for you guys with that. Be sure to leave this video a like if you did like it. If you didn't, leave a dislike, but also probably tell me why, so that way I can improve in this as well. Thank you all so much for your support. I'll see you guys in the next video.